Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. We're going to get right into the playthrough of Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. There's just a couple things I want to mention before we move forward to get some of the rule corrections in order, so let's start from the top. So in order to correct this mistake, this one was about the enemy heroes not being able to be in the same region as another enemy hero from that faction. So earlier on, the Berserker actually was sitting here. That can't happen. So when the Berserker left the capital city and had moved, it should have moved in a clockwise position past where the other hero already was and into another region, meaning it would have actually landed here. So technically it wouldn't have gained a food resource, so we're going to take one food away because it wouldn't have gained that particular food, but it would have landed in the desert and it would have collected this exploration token, which technically gives it a point. So we'll bring this over, place it in this area here, we'll come over to the Orcs and we'll bump them up to 7. Now it's correct. Now what would have happened is the same battle would have taken place in the last video because the Berserker still would have done its action of moving through these particular spots over to here, and doing so, completing the battle and wiping me out, no problem. Still had tons of movement to do so across the ferry lane, so everything with that particular mistake is all corrected now. The next mistake that I made that I want to clear up is that I recruited the Sorceress without actually having the Mana Tower. That was a big whoops on my end and a huge mistake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize during this video's playthrough building that Mana Tower so that my Sorceress is valid to be out there. So it's going to become a priority for me to build that in order to correct it, but that's about it. I'm not going to be able to, I can't retract that at this point in time, but I wanted to make mention of the fact, in order to build whatever's under it, just like I did with the boat, I built the dock first and then I could gain the boat or the ability to recruit the boat. I can't just recruit heroes without having the buildings above them built. So just something to keep in mind when you're playing the game. Some really sad news about that conflict that happened right here with one of my serfs is when I actually lost that serf, all lost units actually go back to the supply. They do not go back to your courtyard. So the one serf that I lost there wouldn't go to the courtyard. It actually goes back to the supply. So that's going to kind of stink, and it's going to slow me down a little bit in terms of using serfs for other useful things. Near the very end of the last video, I just made a silly mistake of not rotating the market through. It didn't make any game impact whatsoever, but it would if I kept going forward and someone happened to tax. So let's go ahead and rotate these resources now. This happened near the end of the video, and I just didn't go ahead and rotate them, so now everything's all situated properly. So the very last correction that I have is one that's actually going to benefit me. I actually only gave myself 1 extra mana when I should have gotten 2, and I even said 2 near the very end of the last video, but and my viewers actually noticed that I only moved up 1, so this should actually go up 1 more spot to 5, which is great. It just gives me more mana in the end. So that's going to correct all of the small minor mistakes. No major gameplay impacts there, but things to keep in mind. There's quite a bit to keep track of, so I'm doing my best, but I really do appreciate all the feedback so far because it's keeping everything lined up correctly. So now at this point we're going to move right into the playthrough for this particular part in the series. Alright Orcs, what are you going to do to me today? Okay, so we got a research capital action, so that's interesting. So this one says the enemy pays mana and casts the enemy hero's spell in the spellbook, earning its victory points. So this is going to be the chieftain that's doing this. So we have to see, now they've definitely got enough mana, I think. The chieftain's is called a farmer's plague. An opposing serf within 2 regions of this hero is killed. That's crazy. If multiple, your choice. If copied, player chooses which hero casts. Okay, so now in this case, what's going to happen is because there's no one within 2 spaces of the chieftain's actually right here, and technically is not within 2 spaces of any serf on the board because it's across the lake and there's spaces or regions in between, then what's going to end up happening is they're still going to cast a spell in solo play, still going to gain that victory point of 1, still going to pay the resources. So we're going to drop this down to 4. They are going to gain a victory point, which they do get from the hero spellbook up there, and we make sure that it is the chieftain, and it's going to jump them up by 1 more point. And of course, if we hadn't have gone ahead and done so or had the mana to pay, then it would have failed and he would have moved. So that's going to resolve the Orcs action. Pretty straightforward and easy. Moving on to the Dwarves. Time to move on with the dwarves. Let's see what happens. So we got ourselves a build action. All right, so this is a player may follow. Now, just so you guys know, there has been already a research and a build action now. You might be wondering, do you want to use your surf at some point in order to do so? I'm not going to because of that correction I want to make by going ahead and using this to build the mana tower. So I'm not going to be following anything that way, mainly because I don't have enough surfs to do it anyway. But I'm going to be correcting my mistake of getting the sorceress into play a little too early by building the tower so we're all squared away. So we're going to go ahead and finish this off for the dwarves, which are going to go after towers or vessels. So the first thing is tower, but they have to have a serf in the region, and our dwarves do not have any serfs in the region right now, so that will not be happening. Next up is the air vessel. They do have an air vessel in play. They also have a sea vessel in play, so there will be no building whatsoever. So basically, if the action fails and the enemy doesn't have enough resources or can't build anything, they're just going to go ahead and move. So the individual who's been tagged with this movement is going to be the cannoneer. It does say here, I'm just going to take a quick look at the ability. It says +1 strength for every 3 ore. That's not going to really help us or do anything right now. But I'm going to go ahead and put this down, and we are going to be moving northwest with the cannoneer for 1 movement. Now this is where things get interesting, because as I talked about before, northwest would kind of technically be right in between these two locations. It technically could be the capital city, or it could even be this hero area here, but the hero is not going to go back into a space within a hero, because we've already talked about that being some incorrect for solo play. This will not move in here, and it won't move back into the capital city. So instead it's going to rotate clockwise around until it can find a way to leave. It also won't take a ferry route that leads to these little diamonds. And won't take this ferry route if the arrow doesn't point in the exact same direction. So for instance, if I happen to have gotten northeast on this particular card, then it would have tried to go up this way. But I did read in the rule books that it's going to try to avoid going backdoor, basically using these diamonds. But it will try to use these types of routes at all times, whenever possible. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to continue rotating clockwise until you basically come to the next land region, which will put him here. And he's going to go ahead and gain this resource, or exploration token, which will give them another point, bumping them up to 10 points total. So there we go. The dwarves are now done. Now, in addition to that, he moved 1 into a plains region, so he is going to go ahead and gain a food. So their food is going up, and that is going to satisfy the first couple turns for the enemy, and now we can finally move over to the elves and see what we can do first. All right, time for me to make my decision. So I'm going to go ahead and do something risky here. I'm going to actually take a march action. Now my debate is whether I take... the serf's going to stay here for sure, because I want the serf to be able to be built to build a mana tower at some point. So I'm leaving it there because I'm handicapping myself a little bit on that because of the fact that like I mentioned before, I got the sorceress out a little too early. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sorceress and this warrior, and I'm going to march them both out of the capital city. I know this is risky, to this location, the swamp right here. The reason being is I do not want any extra quick points for this particular unit, and because of the way it goes in clockwise order, I guess the only one left would be there. But I'm just trying to clean those up around my area and get them before they get them, because that's just giving them points. I could have initiated combat, because technically my movement on this warrior is 3. My sorceress is 2, so I could have gone 2 spaces and just had both these guys go in there. I did debate this in my mind as to what would be a better idea. It's not a terrible thought, but my power there would be 3 and 2 for a total of 5 against the Berserker's 2, which isn't terrible. Let me see here. I do also... Yeah, the sorceress doesn't have any abilities that are going to really help us out for attacking, so that's not good. This is something I could do. Then the trouble becomes, do I have any cards in my hand that I could spend enough on in order to get a really good benefit? Like charge is really good, but I gotta use a ton of mana. I don't even have 6, I only have 5. Barricade I don't have enough to pay for. I don't have enough to pay for siege. So there's all these ones I don't have enough to pay for. Really the only one I can pay for is first strike, which would give me like two extra, which is very weak, and I'm just a little scared that they'll pull something of a really high amount, and it'll end up hurting me. So my choice is to avoid combat for now, even though it seems kind of pathetic. And I'm going to go back, so I'm going to be moving from the capital city into here. We get to reveal this token right away and see what it is. Hey, we've gotten these before. This is mine. So if I remember correctly, these are gaining 3 resources, I think. Let me see here. Yeah. So mine is you found a small band of rogue kobolds snore by the open of a vast cavernous mine. And you got riches unguarded, so we can basically take 3 resources of our choice. We know what we want, and that's ore, because ore will allow me to build the building, and I actually needed 3 ore and a serf, so that's perfect. I have 1 ore, so now I'm going to go up to 4. That'll allow me to, to clean up that mistake I made from before. So there we go. We're kind of sitting in this region right now. Of course, we're not going to gain any resources for being in here because it's a region that doesn't have any resources to give, but it's something. So we did go ahead and put our action marker there, and now our turn is complete, and we can move on to the orcs. Moving right along here to the orcs, and we've got ourselves a recruit action. This is something that they can probably do based on the decent amount of resources they have. So this is going to be landing in the shaman's location here, and it says we have to check out the ability as well. It says when the shaman ends its movement, if it's next to any player unit, the player must discard 2 resources. So he's basically drawing away resources from people. He is currently, in this capital city location, so far away from us. This one says the enemy pays resources to recruit a unit. Air vessel first, they've already got it. Sea vessel, they've already got it. Warrior next, so it looks like warrior will be the one they're going to go after. So this might be the first warrior. No, yeah, it is the first warrior they've ever gotten. So warrior-wise, it's going to cost them 2 food. They can definitely do that. So they're going to spend 2 food. That's going to gain them one of their warriors. And this is what they look like. Very friendly. So they're going to show up in the exact same spot where this particular shaman is. So that's going to be right here. And you're going to become part of that army. So it's getting a little bit dangerously big. And you can see with the boat docked beside here, even though it doesn't cost anything. So for me, it costs something to dock and undock. The enemy heroes can just jump in this and technically be in the sea region already. And they don't have to pay any movement for that, so that's super dangerous. Right now it is technically docked, but these guys, if they happen to move at some point in the future, will likely try to jump in the boat to do it. This one says a new unit's placed in the region with the enemy hero. We just did that. If it can't, goes to the capital city. Nothing else really applies, and that is it for them. So we're going to move right along to the dwarves. So the dwarves are now going to take their turn. This is going to be the priestess doing this one, and it's going to be a recruit as well. So this is actually the carbon copy card. So there you go. So this is going to be the exact same thing. If I can get this to focus here, come back to me. There we go. So we're going to pay resources to recruit. We already have the air vessel for them, the sea vessel. So it's going to be a warrior, same situation. So the priestess says here, after moving, gain an ore for every adjacent mountains region. We're not going to have to worry about that because she's not going to move this turn because we are building a warrior. If we can pay for it. Warrior is 2 food. They can definitely pay that. So we're going to have the dwarves' first warrior come into play in the priestess location, which just happens to be aboard a flying vessel. So that's how it works. It actually will go inside the flying vessel where it is. So that's kind of crazy. So she's got now another individual in with her. So that's not good for us. But that's going to basically wrap up their recruit action. So that was pretty straightforward, and it comes right back around to my turn for the elves. All right, so for my turn, I'm going to clean up the mistake I made in the last one by not having the building created. So I'm going to go ahead here. We're going to use an action to build. So when we build, we have to put a serf from the courtyard into this location. We will not get this serf back. We are going to get a victory point in the end for every building that we're building, so that's good. We're going to, and we'll calculate all that at the very end. But now this was now my sorceress actually is valid for being on the board. We also gain this ability right here. It says you may draw spell cards and scribe when taking the research action. So this is really cool because if we start getting our capital level of our city up and up and up, we can start holding more cards. Of course, it has to be a card that can be scribed, which means it has to have a cast keyword on it. But basically what that means is if we take a research action, normally you could take 3 cards from the spell deck and keep one of them, and then pretty much it comes down to your hand limit and figuring out which ones you want to have. But you can also, in addition to doing that, also scribe. Normally, research actions either take 3, keep 1, or scribe. This is saying that you can do both. So that's really, really cool, kind of upping the power of that. Kind of makes sense for a mana tower. So really cool. So we're all set and squared away there. Not exactly the most exciting turn because it was more about correcting things that I messed up in the last one, but this was the right thing to do to keep everything even keel. So that essentially is going to finish up my turn. The one thing I'm going to do though, because I don't want to forget, is I do have to actually drop down my ore by 3. So I built the building, I used a serf, and 3 ore is what it costs. So we're down to 1 and 1 there. And we're all set. So now we're going to move over to the third turn of the orcs. Okay, so for the third turn of the Orcs, please don't hurt me. It's another build. Oh, but this one's a capital city track build, so that's not good. So this one is going to be the enemy pays ore to advance its capital city's token 1 level. So ore-wise, not too hot. Only has 3, but guess what? That's all they needed to go up to the next level. So they're going to use all their ore, and they've just built up to the next level. Now you'll notice here, once you get to this spot, which they're not at yet, they'll go up to the 2nd level, so their actual capital city will gain a level, as well as the ability to gain, or to build, sorry, more towers. But as of right now, they don't even have, they haven't gotten to the point of building a tower yet, but I'm sure that that's going to come to the grapevine of these cards at some point. So as of right now, what they've got for their capital cities is a total strength is 7. They're going to gain 6 victory points at the end of the game, and their warriors now are 1+ on strength. So that's kind of nasty. So basically this army right here got a little stronger. Let's see if there's anything else we can do here. We already took down their ore in order to do this, so we're all good. And there's nothing else really to do for them. So that's going to wrap up the Orcs. So moving over here to the Dwarves. Let's take a quick look at the card here. This is going to be a research action. So this one is the spell. Ugh, gross. Not good. So this is going to be the Marauder who's doing this spell. The Marauder is sitting in a boat off the coast of this continent right here. And the Marauder, we've actually had this spell happen before. It's called a Metal Thirst, and it's stealing 3 ore from an opponent. So here's what's really good. I don't really have much ore. And and technically the other opponent has 0, so it's fairly obvious they'll be taking my ore. So they're going to end up taking mine because I don't, and I'm glad I used the ore when I did to build that tower because I wouldn't have had any more. So they take 1 from me, they gain 1, but they're on 10 already, so they've maxed out. In order to do this, it cost them 3 mana to cast a spell, so they drop down to 5. But they are going to go ahead and earn a victory point on the track, so the Dwarves are going to go up 1 on the victory track. Whew, okay, so we've now done all of the actions for the Dwarves, and we've done all the actions for the Orcs, and I am now out of actions as well, so we're going to reset, and we're going to start collecting resources. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So we'll go ahead and take away all the cards that were used. We'll put them in the discard pile. Make sure that we still have at least 1 or more to pull. We do, so that's good. We still have 2 up here as well. These should be pretty much in sync because we're pulling them at the same time. So the same card counts. And then we'll go like this. Okay, so that's good. And then over here, what we're going to do for the Elves is we're actually going to bring the action tokens back to the center. We don't have any serfs that can come off of these and go to the courtyard because they're both permanently used to build those buildings. So we've lost all serfs. So we might want to think about getting some food to get more serfs. And we do have 1 serf, I should say. It's sitting over here. We're going to have to do our collection of resources next. So let's do this kind of in order. The Dwarves here have the ability to gain an ore at the end of every round, but they're maxed on ore, so they're not going to gain any more anyway. Where they currently sit right now, they control a desert region, which gives no resources, but they do control a food region, so they will be going up 1 on the food track. I'm just going to do a quick double check to make sure that there's no bonuses across any of these abilities, which I don't think, and I think we're good for the capital city track, so everything's squared away there. Next, we're going to move down to the Orcs. Now, the Orcs are sitting in interesting positions. They've got control of a plains area here, and basically just a wasteland, essentially, over here. So nothing coming from this, but some food will be gained there. So we're going to go up 1. Technically, in terms of their capital city, they don't get any extra bonuses that way. And I think, if I'm not missing anything here, I think that's pretty much it. So that's it for collecting resources. So that was pretty straightforward. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the next round. Just before we start the next round, I get to get a new spell card, and I get to decide whether I like this one better than the one I have. So this is a copy spell. This could be good. This could be good because I could use a copy spell to bounce this off of... I can't scribe it, but this is a really cool one-use card that I could basically play when the other enemy factions are shooting spells at me and gaining points off me. It says, copy a spell just played by an enemy, pay the spell's mana, and gain its victory points. So that's cool because some of their spells are actually, 1 to 2 points in victory. But this shield is so handy from the fact that this Berserker is right in our continent, and I think it'd be silly of me not to give that away, because at some point this Berserker is going to try to come after me. So I think I'm going to still hold with the shield, even though I really actually like this copy spell quite a bit. because I just really don't like. I think either the Berserker is going to give me trouble or this air vessel is going to be over here soon, plus that one. So I think copying a spell is not the priority right now, at least I think. And that's going to basically resolve it, and now we can begin a brand new round starting all the way over there with the Orcs. All right, here we go with the Orcs. Let's see what they can do. They're going to go ahead and build, and they're focusing on towers or vessels. So we got the enemy pays resources to build a tower if they have a serf. So as of right now, this one does, because we're playing the Orcs, and this is actually, yeah, this works. They do have a serf, so they can go ahead and build a tower. So this should be kind of exciting. So the new unit is placed in the region. Now the question is, do they have the resources to do the tower? So as you can see from here, they get 1 victory point per land region away at the end of the game. So we'll calculate that later. But they also have to pay 1 ore for every land region away from their capital city. But guess what, guys? They're 0. So they can't build a tower right now. So that's awesome. They have the serf, but they don't have the order to do it. So they can't do it. So they move to air vessel. They can't do that. And they can't do the sea vessel. So then that action fails, and the chieftain now gets to move. The bad news with that is that the chieftain is sitting right on the edge of the continent. But the good news is that it's going to send them away from us. Thank goodness. And it's going to be 2 in the total opposite direction of where we are. So that's good. But where it's going to land, and actually I'm just doing a quick check here, I think this token here fell out of place. It should be there. There should be 2 tokens denoted by the ×2 right there. That one just moved over a bit. But they're essentially going to move through these areas collecting tokens as they go. So they're going to be moving 1 and then basically 2. So they're going to be collecting all of these tokens on their way through, which is quite a bit of victory points. So I mean, even though they didn't attack me, that's going to get them actually all the way up to being tied with the Dwarven faction now. So that's good. They're away from me, so they're less of a worry now. But, I mean, it's good and bad, I guess. They got a bunch of victory points out of that. So that's the end of that particular action. Now, the other thing, too, is wherever the hero lands or moves to, the regions that moves through, it gains that particular type of resource. So the hero's in a ore, doesn't gain anything from this area, but landed in an ore, so it's going to gain 1 ore. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the Dwarves. Okay, Dwarves, what do you got for me today? A build action. Okay, so capital city, though. So the enemy pays ore to advance its capital city's track. And the Dwarves, of all people, have an insane amount of ore. So this is going to be an easy success. They need 3 to do so. So they're going to build, and they're moving up the capital city track. Now their vessels are going to be +1 when attacking. That's vicious. Both of their vessels are on the board, and their capital city just got stronger. So that was a pretty easy one, and that's going to resolve the first turn for the Dwarves. Hey guys, I actually just remembered something I missed, and that was one of the abilities during the collection of resources phases just a couple moments ago here, where the Corsair, which is my boat, collects 2 mana if in a sea region, so my mana should actually be up to 7 right now going into my turn. Alright, I think I've decided what I wanted to do, and man, it's really, really tough. I've been going back and forth on what I should do, but I really need to stop getting mana, because my mana is going way up. I really need to get more food, so I can start recruiting more units. So I'm going to have to get this Serf, the only one that I have on the board right now, over to here. I'm going to do a march action, I think, so that I can get myself moving here. So I'm going to use a march. It's not exactly the best march ever, because I get into this region, I don't know how much help this is going to be, but at least from now on I'm going to be gaining some food resources, which is good. And we get to flip this over, and I don't think I've never seen this one yet. So this is a tower of some type, so let's find out what that means. Just give me 2 seconds here. It may not even be a tower, I don't even know what it is. It is a mysterious wizard tower. That sounds fun. Atop his tower, a shriveled old wizard babbles incoherently, his sanity lost to living in isolation, but his wisdom may yet prove useful. When your army ends movement here, including when this token is revealed, you may pay 1 mana to perform a free research action, cannot be followed. Keep this token in its region. If 2 towers occupy the same region, then remove 1 from the game. Okay, so I can pay a mana to perform a free research action. That actually might not be a bad idea. I just got to think about what I want to do. Well, it would be silly of me not to do this, because with this really cool ability I have to draw the spell card and scribe when taking a research action, I could get lucky enough to get something that's worth scribing, which means I could still keep the shield in my hand. So if I get something that has cast on it, I'm lucky. If I don't, I'm kind of screwed. And I got lucky. I got Earthquake. Okay, so Earthquake sounds wonderful. Select a group of 3 adjacent land regions on the same continent, and any enemy players with units in those regions must choose to lose 2 strength worth of serfs or warriors on land. Wow! That is huge. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I have this mana tower ability, it says you may draw spell cards and scribe when taking the research action. I'm scribing this. So this is going to get scribed right here like this, and that means I get to keep it. Plus, I do get to keep my shield because it's in my hand, and this is actually been scribed. So that was awesome. That really worked out. Plus, now I'm able to actually keep this tower in this location. I believe I can use it again in the future if I read it correctly. But I'm also going to start gaining food, or I'll gain 2 more food at the end of the next round. I'm just going to double check on the tower here. It does say keep in the region, and let's see, when your army ends movement here, including when this token is revealed, you may pay. So I guess if I was to leave and then come back in, I can reactivate that ability, I think. Or I might have to double check to see whether I can use that all the time, or if I have to move out and come back in. I would imagine I have to leave and come back in, would be what I would guess. Otherwise, it would be overpowered to the max. So anyway, that was really, really useful. It's kind of cool to actually have a token stay on the board. I haven't had that happen in the game yet, so that's interesting. So that worked out pretty good for just a regular march action. So that's going to resolve that, and we're going to move over to the Orcs. So for the Orcs right now, the one thing I have to do is we're down to the last solo card. So off camera for both factions, actually, I'm going to have to shuffle these decks back into this pile. So I'm going to do that for both of these, get them all set to go, and we'll begin with the Orcs turn in a second. All right, all shuffled and ready to go. Let's see what happens. So we got into recruit action, so they're going to probably be doing this. They have air vessels, they have sea vessels, so they're going to recruit a warrior likely. So let's see what they got for warrior. It's 2 bread, they can definitely do that. So it's going to be the shaman who's recruiting this. So that's another warrior when they already get +1 on their attacks for warriors jumping into this location now. So now they've got 3 warriors in here. This is getting really interesting. There's quite a bit going on in that region. So that's kind of scary. Okay, so we've got 3 in that region, and that was all done. That's everything that's going to happen with that recruit action. I can follow it if I had a serf, but I don't. So we're going to now move over to the Dwarves. Okay, let's see what happens with these guys. An attack. Okay, so the enemy hero and its army move up to 2 to attack the nearest player army that is less than or equal to its natural strength. Okay, so let's see if we can make this happen. So the priestess is the one that this is doing for, and she's got an air vessel, and she would actually, ooh, no, I don't think she can make it there because it'd be 1, 2, or 1, 2. She wouldn't actually be able to get to a region anywhere where my stuff is going to be. So that's going to be a fail. There are no player armies nearby, or the player armies nearby are too strong. So it's more of the former than the latter. But they're going to move south anyway. So they are going to move south. So she's going to move from here to here, which means they are going to gain a mana for moving into that location. Plus they gain the exploration token, which gets taken off the board, and the dwarves will go up a point. So there we go. And that is going to resolve their turn, and we're going to go back over to our turn. Okay, here we go, and I'm really excited about this turn because I am excited to be actually starting an attack. I'm finally going to be pushing the envelope because fortune favors the bold, at least I think so. I hope so in this particular case, because I'm going to have my sorceress and my warrior go in against that berserker when we have a little bit of an advantage. My warrior is 2 strength and my sorceress is 3, and the berserker is just 2. So I do have a decent chance here. So that is going to give me an additional help. I'm looking at the Berserker's ability. It says Berserker's army will move up to 1 to attack, so they get no extra bonuses, but their warriors are +1, but this is not a warrior. So it's 5 versus 2 before we go into the cards. That's a pretty decent bump up, and because I get to move in here, or if I choose to move in with a march, then I'm the one initiating the battle, and because of that, I'm the one that gets the victory point, which is the first actual victory point I'm going to put on the track before, because most of mine are tallied at the end of the game. But that one's an instantaneous one for starting a battle. So without further ado, let's get into the very first battle that I've chosen to start. Okay, so now it's the fun part of trying to figure out which of the tactics cards that I want to use during this. I don't have anything that's going to be able to boost anything besides the tactics cards right now, so I have to make up my mind. What can I afford resource-wise? Well, I can't do this. I currently only have I have 0 ore, so I can't do anything that's going to cost me ore. Now, just so you guys know, if you want to ever use a card that costs a certain amount that you don't have, you can basically make payments using some of the available units that you have in the battle, and you can basically lay them over on their side. So I can, knock this warrior over on its side in order to gain 2, because its strength is 2, resources towards this card. So you can kind of make payments towards using some of these in the battle, but whatever's lying over at the end of it is lost, so it doesn't stay there. That's the it's kind of the iffy thing. So if you get into a really big battle with a lot of units, it might be worth it, but for this small battle, not. So no barricade, no siege, because both of them require 4, and I don't have that and don't want to pay for it. Constructs is really only going to help me get a serf to go from here to there, and that 1 point of difference would be defeat the purpose of me keeping him on the food to gather 2 for the next turn. Fight with a free is pointless because I get no benefit from that, so there's no reason to do that. I'm certainly not retreating, so that's gone. So really I'm coming down to these 2. These are my biggest 2 options, and this is what I've been kind of juggling in my head. First strike for 4, or for 6 I get charge. Now, you might think it's really easy and I should just spend the 6 mana because I have it to go for the charge, but what I'm also thinking of doing is the fact that I have this really cool card now that I can cast in a future turn, not during this one because I've run out of actions, but later on I can use a cast action in another round, and I can cast this Earthquake and literally select a group of 3 adjacent land regions on the same continent. So I could target a group of individuals over here. Like I could target this, I could target this, and I could target like this, and or whatever 3 I target, basically. I could even target this one, this one, this one if I just want everything, all the damage to come off these. And I could actually thin out the herd of warriors. I'd actually kill off a warrior, basically, because it's 2 damage worth. So that would be really cool, is to basically cause an earthquake, kill a warrior from long distance, and I'd also get 2 victory points from it. So that would give me 2 victory points. If I do first strike, it'd give me 2 victory points, and I'd have the 4 resources, and the 4 is 8. I have a much better chance of pulling that off. If I use 6 for charge, I have 0 chance of pulling that off, based on my resources, likely. But the downside, or the plus side, is I'm going to have a much better chance at winning this fight. If I put a 5 in there, I'm almost guaranteed to win the fight, but it could be massive overkill. I currently have 2 and 3, so that's 5, and I'm going up against a 2. So I've already got a 3-point lead going into this. So the question is, what do I do? It's really tough. It is really, really tough. But I don't want to spend so much. I think this is mass overkill. So I'm actually going to risk it and go for first strike. I really hope this pays off. So I'm going to pay 4 of my resources down to 3 in order to pay for first strike. I'm going to get 2 on top of my total. I will get an additional 3 if they happen to get siege, and this will cancel conscripts. Sorry. So we're going to go over here. We're going to pull a card for the Orcs. This is where things get fun, because we got to determine, well, just so you guys know, here's an example of some of the attack powers that can come out of this. So it's pretty nasty. Here we go. 2. Look at that. We're good. We are safe, and I think that's okay, isn't it? And they got siege. So with siege, we actually gained 3. So we just went crazy. We actually got the 5 we wanted anyway. So we got 2 plus 3 is 5, plus the 5 I already had is 10. 10 against maybe 2 for this card, and 2 for this is 4. That's an easy victory, and at the end of the day, this guy is going to be killed off. So that's awesome. So we pull that card. We'll put that off to the side. The great thing is the Berserker was coming up in the next round after this. So I'm glad I did this now. So this is perfect. So what's going to happen is the loser is going to take its army total, and it's going to take half the damage of that, or half of the natural strength in damage. So they're the losing faction, and the total strength was natural strength is 2. So they'll take half of that, which is 1, and you can't. Any units that take any points of damage in a battle are lost. So in this case, it takes 1 point of damage. It's still going to kill it. When an enemy hero dies, it goes back into the courtyard. You'll see right here, it says enemy heroes start here and return when they are killed. So he'll go right like that. and we actually defeated him, took him out, and for using First Strike, we gain 2 victory points. So we're going to bump ourselves up to 3. So now we're starting to climb the charts as well. Now there's a lot of points here that aren't talked about, and that's because I've already built some buildings and I've already got some things going. So a lot of my points come at the end of the game, but this was really cool to see an actual win come out of that. I was kind of scared. That was extremely risky to do the First Strike versus the other one, but now at least I still have some resources left mana-wise. And you also have to remember, I left this area, so I'm not collecting mana next turn. So that's something else to keep in mind. So, with all that being said, we are finished our turn. We have no more actions we can do, and we're going to move over to the Orcs' final turn of the round. So the Orcs' turn is actually going to be for the Berserker, who was killed. She was taken out. And what is that going to happen? Oh, look at that. She would have attacked anyway, and I happen to get rid of this. So the enemy hero cannot move, let's see, oh, actually, maybe it can. It's enemy hero and its army move up to 2 to attack the nearest player. It's not going to happen. The nearest player could technically be that guy in the boat, but he's out on sea. So there's no way that I could get this Berserker anywhere close to anything. So this Berserker is going to move in a north fashion. So we're going to go ahead and put this right here. And let's see. Oh, it does say Berserker's army will move up to 4 to attack. Ooh, actually, then the Berserker will move 4 to attack. Oh, geez, that's actually kind of crazy. So let's see how that works. So if the Berserker's in the capital city, then where would the Berserker go to reach somebody? Would the Berserker come right back to me? Can they actually do that? Let's see. 1. Oh, but it can't go through the same region as an enemy hero. If it goes to the desert, it has to stop. If it goes this way, it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Oh my goodness. It actually comes back to me. What? That's crazy, because there's nobody else that can attack. I can't go after the guy in the boat because I can't swim out there to attack him and get in that region. That's crazy. So we're going to have another battle here. I guess this is like round 2 of the exact same battle. So I thought I got rid of this thing, and he's back. And it's exactly the same thing it was before in terms of the setup for cards. But I guess the difference this time is I do have a shield. So I'm actually the one being attacked. So the Orcs are going to go ahead and gain a point here, because they're initiating the attack. The benefit for me is that I can use this shield if I have 3 mana, which I do, and I'm going to use it. So I'm going to use 3 mana, so it's a good thing I chose the one I chose. This is going to give me a victory point, so I might as well put that up now so I don't forget. Whew, this is going to be interesting. When defending, before tactic cards are chosen, gain 3. So now I have 3, plus 3 for the sources, plus 2 for the warrior. So I'm looking at 8 already. And then I go into my cards here, and I have to determine what I want to spend. I obviously don't have the mana, and I don't want to kill off people to use that. So I'm going to keep going through until I can find one that basically uses something that I can actually make use of. And no, there's nothing. I don't want to spend anything or kill off any units to do this, so I'm just going to probably go with a regular fight action, because I'm going into it with an 8, and they're coming at me with a 2. So I think I can survive this. So let's see how this pans out. We're going to go over here to the enemy. Oh, this is scary. Oh dear, that's bad. That did not work out for me. So that's going to be 8. On top of the 2 is 10. Oh, that's a big hit. So 10 against mine. I'm going to make sure I got all my stuff added up correctly. So 6, 7, yeah, I am short by 2. So there was nothing I could do there. Nothing I could do. The only thing I could have done was tipped over all my guys and tried to fight that way, but I didn't choose to do that, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, I lost by 2. So I basically have to take my natural strength. My natural strength is, let's see here, it's 5. I have to half it and round up. So I got to take 3 points of damage, and this is where I have to take 3 points of damage across these 2 units. So just before I go ahead and deal with the amount of damage I have to take here, we want to not forget about the resources that this guy got as it moved through the land to get to where it was. So it moved all the way around through the swamp areas and got no resources, but it did run through the ore and then into the plains, but it won't gain the plains until the end of this battle, which is going to be right now anyway. But it's going to gain 1 ore, so they are going to go up to 2. It's going to gain a food as well once I'm out of here. So I have to choose between losing either the warrior or the sorceress, and I have to take 3 points of damage. So I think it makes sense to lose a sorceress, because if I do it the other way around, I lose the warrior, then 1 point of damage hits the sorceress, and if any damage lands on any unit, even if it doesn't kill it at the end of a battle, it gets taken out. So I'd rather just soak up the 3 points of damage on the sorceress fully. So this sorceress is going to go back here and be able to be recruited at a later time. So that's kind of sad that I lost her. And the warrior obviously is going to retreat and heads back to the capital city. So now this Berserker owns this area and will gain that 1 food for being there after the battle has completed. So that totally went sideways on me. I was thinking that, like, hey, I just done a great thing by killing this Berserker off, but the Berserker is just that. She's crazy. And I killed her off, and she came running back over as fast as humanly possible, which just blows my mind how quickly she can get over here. It's actually a little bit terrifying. Because whenever she pulls the attack card, then she can move up to 4, and that's just an insane amount of movement that's going to put her on the doorstep of me almost every single time. Unless, of course, maybe the dwarves get involved here. But that was wild. That was quite an ending. So that's going to do it for me right now. We're going to put this fight card back in the pile, and everything's done. We gave all the victory points we were supposed to do. I did use the shield to try to shield me. I gained the point from that, but I no longer have this now because this was in my hand. I lost. This is gone. It's a one-time use because it wasn't described and it's not a cast spell. So that's gone. And that's going to really wrap up the Orcs' turn, which I think they're quite happy with. They also gained their 1 point already for starting that battle. So now we're going to move on to the Dwarves for the last turn of the round. With all that excitement out of the way, the Dwarves are going to recruit. They have the air vessel, sea vessel. They're going to go after a warrior, it looks like, and it's going to end up in the boat. So that's going to be good for me. So a warrior here is going to cost 2 food, so they will do that down to 3. That's going to give them a warrior, which is going to join the marauder inside of the boat. So this boat got a little bit more interesting. That's going to do it. That's going to end the full thing. We've used all actions across the board. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to reset. We're going to take all these cards out. We still have enough cards in the decks to continue on through the next play. So let me just take these, put them like this. And there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and do a collection of resources, but first I'll just reset my action tokens. I don't have any serfs to go back here, so we're fine with that. So let's go ahead and start with the Orcs. So the Orcs right now currently own ore. And they have a serf here, so they're actually going to gain 2. And then right here, this one is going to be 1 for controlling the plain regions, which is 1 food. I don't think they get anything else. Let me just see here. Nope. I think it's the dwarves that get the extra ore. So they are all set. Yes, that's it. So the dwarves obviously get the ore right away. That's for the capital city bump up. They're also going to get nothing for this ocean region. They do get a mana here. This is a warrior, so it's not an additional for serfs. So it's just 1 mana and 1 food. So that's not bad for them. And they're all taken care of. Then we're going to come over to our side, and because I placed myself in this location, I'm going to gain 2 food. So that's good because I'm going to be able to recruit some serfs, hopefully 2 of them next turn. So just so you guys can actually see that, there's what my resources look like. Coming over here, the warrior is on the capital city now, so useless, not giving me anything, controlling nothing of value. My defenses are way down at the moment, which is scary. Yeah, things are going to get interesting for sure. That's it for me collecting any resources, and I do get to draw a new spell card, which I get to keep, and I got a fireball, so this could be good. It says combat. Before tactic cards are chosen, kill up to 2 warriors or serfs. That's pretty good. Now, there's no warriors or serfs in this army, and this is the guy that I'm more scared of than anything else, or girl that I'm more scared of than anything else. So that's going to be it. That is going to actually wrap it up. And at this point in time, I think we're ready to go into the next round. So we're going to stop right here. I want you guys to take a long look at the board here and see how things are set up and what we're doing. And I want you to give me some feedback. I want to know, what do you think we should do? I think something that would be really cool is to use the Earthquake spell that I've now scribed in order to hit this location and kill off a warrior. Or maybe we kill this location, or we hit this location to hit this warrior. I don't know which one's more of a threat. This group right here, which is dangerous because they're all an additional 1 extra strength because of the capital city bump up for the orcs, or if this is worse because they're closer to me. This is a problem because we have a Berserker in our continent who's going to start running around stealing all our exploration tokens, which is bad. And we also have no heroes in play. So we have a warrior and a serf, and we are lagging behind now. So this game might start beating on me pretty good. So this is still a lot of fun. And you can see it's... I think if you were to play this with myself against just the orcs, I only had to worry about one faction, I think I could manage it. But I think the idea that, like, knowing that there's another faction out there that hasn't even started to mess with either of us yet, when the Dwarves finally decide to come south and mess with one of the two of us, things are going to really open up. So that's going to be really exciting to see, because as of right now, the conflict has been more east to west in the south area here, southern area here. But up north, they've been pretty quiet. They're just almost like they're watching a sporting event up there. And I'm sure they'll come down eventually and cause a stir. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you saw anything I missed at all, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to fix it. I'll make a pinned comment of all the mistakes if there are any. Thank you so much for your support and watching the playthrough. There'll be more to come. As always, guys, thanks for watching and keep on rolling solo.